What's up YouTube, Christo here, and I've got another collection video for you, this time focusing on one specific artist, Lou Barlow projects and some related projects. I've had an interesting relationship with Lou Barlow's music. I was exposed to it in high school, mid-90s. A lot of my friends and kind of friends of friends and people I hung out with used to listen to Sebadoh, namely, and I just didn't like it. It was like pop music about love and relationships, and they were either really happy or really sad, and it was just totally not my thing. I was into like metal and industrial and punk and stuff like that, so I just couldn't stand it. Like, I still remember Bake Sale when it came out, and all my friends loved it, and I remember listening to it at their houses and stuff. I was like, this is terrible, like this is really awful. But eventually I really warmed up to it. A friend of mine lent me a full Implosion CD a couple years after I first heard Sebadoh, and I ended up really liking it, and just kind of changed everything for me. But I'll kind of get there when I get to my full Implosion section. This is going to be a long video. I've got a lot of stuff here, as you can see, so let's get right into it. First one, this is actually interesting. This is a Shrimper compilation, Ghost of a Roller Coaster. You can find this for next to nothing online. Little 7-inch with a whole bunch of Shrimper bands. Honestly, there's nothing really on here that great, but there is a track by Sebadoh right there at the bottom. Me and My Arrow. It is a cover of Harry Nilsson's song. I don't like Harry Nilsson, just totally not my thing at all. Never interested in him even remotely, but this cover is amazing. It is absolutely unbelievable. It is abrasive, lo-fi, jangly, druggy, just outrageous, over the top. I've never really heard anything like it ever, and it's even kind of out there for like that early lo-fi Sebadoh sound. It's awesome. You can get this. I looked a couple days ago, and this was like $1.50, $2 Canadian on Discogs. If you live in the States and you have not heard this, I highly recommend checking it out just for the Sebadoh song. It's great. It's awesome. I used to have it on a B-sides compilation, kind of pirated bootleg MP3 collection, and I lost it. It was deleted, or it was on my phone that died, and I've not been able to find a digital version of it anywhere, like not even YouTube. I can't find digital downloads. I can't find it on Bandcamp, like nothing anywhere, so I picked that up. Unfortunately, it's a bit of a hassle just for that one track to listen to, but it's so good. So apparently this is the first time the name Sebadoh appears on a vinyl pressing. It is a split 7-inch with a band called Big Stick, I believe it is. I believe this was first circulated in the UK. I think it is from a magazine, like a free giveaway or something. It's got, I think, 3 or 4 unrelated tracks or demo versions or something that I've not heard anywhere else. They may exist somewhere in some format, but they were new to me. Little expensive, but compared to a lot of 7-inches by Sebadoh, it's expensive, but it's still pretty decent for kind of a must for Sebadoh, Lou Barlow fans. So I got a whole stack of Sebadoh 7-inches here. I'm gonna go through really quickly. I don't know why, but these are very cheap to find. Maybe they were mass produced or whatever in the 90s and just didn't sell. I don't know, but you can pick most of these up here for between like $3 and $5 US. So usually what I do is, if I find them, I just add them in as an extra on an order. Usually I can just get free or combined shipping. I do have one Sebadoh 7-inch coming in the mail, but it's nothing really that big like most. So I didn't want to wait for it because it'd probably be a couple weeks coming from Europe. So let's go through these quickly. That's Ocean. That was like one of my most hated songs by Sebadoh. Part of the reason I couldn't stand them, but I really enjoy it now. I can kind of appreciate the pop, kind of love songy stuff to it. It is a good track, good song. This is a Sebadoh Azalea Snail split 7-inch. I don't know much about Azalea Snail. I had never even heard of her until I started looking at this record, and it's okay, nothing great. The Sebadoh side, it's okay, nothing groundbreaking. Beauty of the Ride, I can't remember if this is from Bake Sale or Harmacy, but definitely from that era. It's okay, not one of my favorite Sebadoh 7-inches. Flame, this is definitely a turning point for me for Sebadoh. This is where I actually started to go, you know what, maybe Sebadoh's okay. A friend of mine picked up the Sebadoh album like really soon after it came out, lent it to me, and he's like, you know what, just listen to it, just give it a try, this is the new album. And I'm glad he did, because I ended up really enjoying Flame. I think it was more the percussion on it that I really liked. It just sounded really different than anything I'd really heard from Sebadoh before. And then, yeah, kind of opened up things. Did kind of go slowly. Eventually, I did really like Bake Sale and, you know, this and that. But Flame definitely was the one that turned it around for me. Soul and Fire, this is from Bubble and Scrape. I still don't really love Bubble and Scrape, but Soul and Fire is actually my favorite track off that album. I think this one's a little bit more pricey compared to some of the other 7-inches, but still nothing ridiculous for Sebadoh. Good track, good single. Skull, this was another reason I absolutely hated Bake Sale, but again, I really like this now. Just so clean and polished and poppy and happy and blah blah blah, but yeah, really enjoy this track a lot now. Gimme Indie Rock, this is definitely an earlier Sebadoh album, as you can probably tell from the cover. It's definitely a different era. It is also on clear vinyl, and like most others, it is available for very, very cheap online. This is a great lo-fi recording, whereas most of these are definitely much more polished and produced. So let's get into some kind of miscellaneous or side projects from Lou Barlow. Couple Lou Barlow 7-inches. I've got Apocalypse Fetish, which was released quite recently, I think 2016. And I do have the clear vinyl. The jacket on this is definitely a little bit bigger than most 7-inch jackets I've seen before, so it fits very tightly, as you can tell. I don't know, I read somewhere that this was kind of meant to be a farewell album. I don't know how true that is. He hasn't released anything that I've seen since, at least on the Lou Barlow, or, you know, specifically with the name Lou Barlow. I did see him since this was released at the Horseshoe in Toronto with Sebadoh. Clear 7-inch, looks really nice. And it didn't even say that it was his final album, but it was kind of hinting at it. So I don't know if that was just kind of like a PR thing, or just someone reading into it a little bit too much. I don't know. Brace Away, this is pretty good. Both of these are pretty good albums, similar sound. Minimal acoustic lo-fi. I think I prefer this. Apocalypse Fetish, a little well produced, or a little more produced than I like for kind of lo-fi Lou Barlow. But this is pretty good. Picked this up for pretty cheap as far as I know. Okay, let me switch over here quickly. Some miscellaneous Lou Barlow. This is Lou Barlow and Friends. This is actually one of my earliest introductions to him. Friends playing this at their house. And I was like, you know what, I really like this, because I heard this just before I got into Folk Implosion, double red vinyl, which is pretty cool. Some fantastic tracks on this. It's a pretty short record, very lo-fi, pretty abrasive at times. And a couple Centrido records here I'll get into. Lou Barlow's acoustic Centrido. Now, a lot of the stuff here on here and most of his 7 inches are available elsewhere, you know, either officially, digitally, or on compilations. And the Mysterious Centrido. I think this is pretty good. I think this one is Weakness is the Secret. I think that's a pretty solid song from here. This is a really good one, Loser Core, with Really Insane on the B-side. Both are fantastic tracks. Early, kind of dark, depressing, acoustic. Okay, save those, we'll save those. Okay, so, Folk Implosion, this is where it all began for me. A friend of mine lent me this album right here, not this specific one, but a friend of me lent this on CD back in high school, probably 96, 97-ish, and I loved it. I had never heard Lou Barlow or Sebadoh sound like this, and I had heard very little lo-fi music of this caliber. I remember listening to some early Beck that I really liked, but this was just completely different, and yeah, this is really what kind of made me rethink Lou Barlow and his musical abilities and his genius, etc., etc. So I'm really happy to have this. This is a really important record for me, and honestly, I would put this as one of my all-time favorite lo-fi records ever. Pretty much start to finish, this is a phenomenal record. I don't think this has been pressed for a long time on vinyl, but it's still pretty easy to find online. Dare to Be Surprised. So kind of after the floodgates opened for me with the polished, well-produced Lou Barlow pop sound, I found this, and I don't know why, but I loved it. I couldn't stop listening to this. This was like one of my official records for about, I don't know, 2 or 3 years in high school. And I can still appreciate it, but when I listen to it now, it is so dated and sounds so kind of cheesy 90s. It's still fun, and I put it on for nostalgia's sake, but it's like, oh, that's so bad, really. This came with Insinuation, 12-inch single, and a remix on the back. And, okay, I thought I had one more, but I don't. So, Folk Implosion, 7 inches. So I just had Insinuation 12-inch there. And I've got Insinuation 7-inch here that actually has more tracks on it and is actually better because the remix is kind of ho-hum. So that's John Davis there, the basically the other half of the old Folk Implosion. Pole Position, also from Dare to Be Surprised, with a couple tracks as well on it. It's okay, nothing amazing, but it's okay. Okay, let's do these two. So, Palm of My Hand, Mood Swing, little 7-inch here. These are actually some of my favorite early Folk Implosion songs, combined with the Folk Implosion here, Electric Idiot EP. There is a CD that combines the two of these. There's only like, I think 7 songs or 8 songs on the whole album. I guess it'd be 7. But these are okay. This is broken down into the traditional and experimentals. And yeah, the traditional songs in here are really great. Lo-Fi Suicide is pretty awesome. And Palm of My Hand I really enjoy as well. I know this one is definitely on clear vinyl. This one's got kind of a different opening. Little insert there, and yeah, kind of frosty clear vinyl. Pretty sure this is just black, so I'm not going to get it out. Walk through this world with the Folk Implosion. It's interesting, back when I was living in Indonesia and getting really into Sebadoh, Folk Implosion, etc., Lou Barlow again, I remember looking at this online, and you know, this is like their first kind of official mainstream accessible recording, and I was like, wow, I wonder how much it is on vinyl, because I hadn't collected records in like 10-15 years at that point. Insert there, and I knew vinyl was trendy and, you know, commanding high prices. And lo and behold, a couple years later, find it online for a couple bucks. It's really nothing. I can't say I particularly like this. Some of it is kind of weird. I don't know, there's a lot of like talking and narrative on this, which is kind of bizarre, but it's okay. They do a Nirvana cover, which is kind of interesting. Okay, so speaking of folk implosion, the other half, John Davis, has some solo albums that I think are grossly underrated. They definitely sound quite different than folk implosion, but you can still see that kind of lo-fi connection. His voice on this is just so awesome. I love it. It's just so camp and kind of soft and delicate. This is Blue Mountains. Yeah, Blue Mountains. I can never remember if it's Blue Mountain or Blue Mountains, but definitely plural. Again, you can pick this up for very, very cheap online. I think this is a Shrimper album. Yeah, Shrimper. This is a really great track. If you like folk implosion, I highly recommend checking this out. It's very unique. It's kind of bluesy. There's a lot of slide guitar on here, but it still definitely has like acoustic and lo-fi qualities as well to it. Deluxe Folk Implosion. So this features a few tracks that were released elsewhere. The biggest one being Daddy Never Understood. If you were a 90s kid, you definitely know that from the Kids soundtrack. Luckily, this is an alternative version of that, which is pretty cool. Everything on here has been released elsewhere, but these are all demo versions or B-sides or alternate takes or whatever, which is pretty cool. I do actually have the Kids soundtrack. I was going to put it in here, but then I decided I'd save it for my soundtrack video because I don't have that many, to be honest. But the Kids soundtrack is great. Daddy Never Understood. If you like that, highly recommend checking this out. It's actually pretty rockin'. Definitely for Lou Barlow, folk implosion kind of connection there. It's a pretty rockin' album. So I'll show these actually really quickly. Related to that, this is a deluxe folk implosion 7" 4, Daddy Never Understood. And this has a few tracks on here that are available on here as well. You can pick this up for really, really cheaply as well. This does have, I'm pretty sure this is the version that was on Kids, and this is like a demo or an alternate take. Now this is just deluxe. Folk Implosion is literally, deluxe Folk Implosion is literally a combination of the band Deluxe and the band Folk Implosion. I believe they're both from the same area, and they combined a few times, put out some stuff that's pretty cool, but some stuff that is pretty awful. Now, if you can see the names there, you're gonna write over on this side actually, which you probably can't. Bob Fay was in Deluxe. I don't remember for how long. To be honest, most Deluxe stuff by itself is pretty bad. The Deluxe Folk Implosion is, you know, about as good as they get, really. So down to the meat and potatoes, where most people know Mr. Barlow, Sebadoh. He was in Dinosaur for a while, or Dinosaur Jr. Perfectly honest, I love Dinosaur Jr., but just not the era with Lou Barlow, whether it be the really, really old era or the new era. I'm really not big on either of them, and for very different reasons as well, because they sound completely different. The Sebadoh Secret EP 2012, not too long ago. Sebadoh hasn't put out too much recently, which maybe perhaps implies that there is a retirement for Mr. Barlow, but who knows. This is okay. Not my favorite Sebadoh. I think the heyday of Sebadoh is sadly gone now. Interestingly, the stuff that I didn't like in high school, I think, is pretty much their heyday. Sebadoh 3 is actually pretty rare. There's only been a few pressings on vinyl, and pretty much all of them are very collectible, which is interesting because a lot of the 7" that haven't been pressed for like decades, you can get for $. This is, I think, the most recent pressing of it. It is a double gatefold, which is nice. Matte finish. This is a really good record. I think after this, the only great Sebadoh record was Bake Sale. I think this is really good. You can definitely see a transition going on in sound between this, their early, like, really abrasive lo-fi stuff, and their upcoming more rockin' stuff, let's say, because they do kind of change sounds a few times after this, though. Bake Sale, I've mentioned this album a few times already. I hated this. I absolutely hated this in high school, but I really enjoy it now. I can't say I listened to it a lot, because I did go through a short period, maybe 10 years ago, where I listened to this nonstop. I was totally loving that kind of middle era Sebadoh era, and I kind of overplayed this a bit. This is a new release, new pressing with digital download, which is cool because it comes with a lot of unreleased rarities, B-sides, demos, etc. Okay, let's see here. I'm going to leave that one for last. Let's pop this one in there. Okay, Weed Forestin. Great album. I think this is possibly my favorite Sebadoh album, like, on the whole. I absolutely love this early lo-fi, jangly, jostling, just kind of often at times very much messy sounding, but phenomenal record. Ride the Darker Wave, amazing. Subtle Holy Gift, Whitey Peach. Does this have it? It doesn't. Okay, I'm gonna wait to talk about it then. Jealous of Jesus, that's fantastic track. Sexual Confusion, also sexual track, fantastic track, but this is a great record. The Sebadoh, this was kind of my turning point, like I mentioned before, where I actually liked Flame quite a lot and kind of got me to reassess them. Pretty cool. This is an autographed copy, and not just autographed, but personalized. You can see the Hammer 2013. The Hammer is the nickname for Hamilton, the city that I live in, and Lou Barlow Sebadoh used to play here quite a lot. Unfortunately, not anymore, though. Defend Yourself. It's okay. It's nothing phenomenal. There's a few tracks in here that are decent, but really nothing that grips me, nothing that really grabs me. Nothing compared to the 90s stuff. The Freedman, this is kind of the other early lo-fi album. A lot of people really love this, but I think I do prefer Weed Forestin. Just looking on here quickly. Oh, come on, where is it? Yes, Moldy Bread, that's it. Moldy Bread is one of my all-time favorite Sebadoh songs. It is on here. True Hardcore, awesome. Soulmate, awesome. Yellow Submarine, so cool. Obviously a cover, but it's like a hardcore cover with a ukulele and, I don't know, some weird high-pitched voice. I don't know if it's Lou Barlow or a guest. It's a gatefold version from not too long ago. Really good record as well. But like I said, I'm more of a Weed Forestin man. Centrido, kind of a interchangeable, somewhat interchangeable name with Sebadoh. I believe he used the name Centrido earlier, or came up with the name earlier, but this is a compilation of a lot of his stuff. It's a double LP. There's some really cool stuff on here as well. Mostly, yeah, unreleased B-sides, demos, blah, 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 blah. Pretty good. You can find this for cheap as well. And definitely the pride of my Lou Barlow collection. This is a self-released, I believe, record that was sold on tour a few years ago. This is Centrido, Weed Forestin. So it is basically exactly the same, where is it, as this in terms of content, but you can see the cover differs dramatically, and this has the name Centrido, this has the name Sebadoh. So this was basically just a limited edition, and it came in this really nice heavy poly sleeve. I believe that's from the release. Came with a little insert here, but the kicker for this that's really cool is the extras it came with. This is a little USB stick, customized, and this has songs from Child of the Apocalypse. This is still sealed with a little yarn ribbon on it. So this has the tracks from this, the tracks from the album, and it also has a like 9 or 10 minute video of Sebadoh music or Centrido music, with like some weird animation in the background, which is really cool. I got this for just an insane price. I couldn't pass it up, you know, even though I had the album already. But love this. Definitely one of my prized collections in my records in my entire collection as well, as this is basically my favorite Lou Barlow release of anything he's ever done. So there we go, shade under 30 minutes. So let me know what you think, some of your favorite Lou Barlow records under, you know, whatever name, whatever connection. What are some important things I'm missing? I've got quite a lot, but he's got an extensive back catalog on him. Yeah, let me know some of your favorite stuff, least favorite stuff, your, you know, kind of history with them, etc., etc. Always interested to hear. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll definitely see you again soon.